Hey, what's going on? It's Jack Milocco for Beardbrand. Welcome to Beard Breakdown, wherein today we're going to look at 5 different basketball players and how they can improve their facial hair. I'm going to get something out of the way before we start this video. I really don't know that much about basketball. So in any sort of respect of the players themselves, I don't know much. But what I do know is facial hairstyle. So what I'm going to do today is look at these 5 players, tell you what type of beard style they have in the pictures that I found. Then I'll offer some style advice on how they can take their beards to the next level. And finally, I'm going to rank these beards from my least favorite at number 5 all the way to my favorite at number 1. Okay? So on the chopping block today, like I said, we've got 5 players. First of which is Steph Curry, then Anthony Davis, followed by LeBron James. Up next, we've got Kevin Durant, and finally, James Harden. Okay? So let's kick things off with number 1. Steph Curry doesn't have much facial hair, but what he does have, I do like. Now, if I had to put a name on the type of beard style that he has right now, it would be absolutely a goatee. Now, this is what's interesting, because a lot of guys think that a goatee is actually what we call the circle beard. Goatee, in its nature, is only the chin hair. A circle beard is when you combine it with the mustache and let it connect. If you want to disconnect it, that becomes a Van Dyke, and that's a whole nother thing. But let's get back to Steph Curry. So now that we've seen that he has a goatee, how can we take this thing to the next level? And we do that by actually keeping it relatively short. I don't think that Steph Curry's the kind of guy that wants to mess around with too much facial hair. I don't want him to introduce any sort of full-on beard. I have seen him with a bit more of that Abe Lincoln chin strap thing going on, and I wasn't a big fan. So if I could recommend anything for Steph Curry, it would be to keep the goatee, but I want him to take care of it. If he does want to grow it out, I would recommend a bit of beard oil in there and constantly want to make sure that you're brushing that, okay? That way it's not growing far out and it's not going all over the place. I want this thing to grow down a little bit. Not completely off the face, but just enough to really know that it's there. Because while the goatee is there right now, I just don't think it's enough of a statement piece for him to really catch anyone's attention. He keeps his hair relatively short, and while it does look nice, he's got the ability to grow out that goatee a little bit more so that it can really catch people's eye. Now, I'm not talking like full-on death metal coming off the face, super long, people can grab it while he's playing basketball. I'm saying maybe just shy of 2 months growth at the most. Like just over an inch worth of hair at the longest point, all right? Doesn't need to go super crazy, but again, while he's growing that out, I think he should absolutely be using a bit of beard oil and a brush in that goatee. Let's not mess around with combs. I think something like this, the hair looks a little rough, so something like a board hair brush should do him really well, and that's gonna take his style to the next level, all right? Next up is Anthony Davis, and surprisingly, it was actually kind of tough to find a good picture of him where you could really see his beard. Copyright's excluded, I mean. Of course, there's plenty of other pictures I could find, but for the purpose of this series, we want to keep things copyright free. Anyway, so the first thing that's evident, of course, you're probably thinking is, yes, Anthony Davis does have a bit of an unusual eyebrow situation, but really, I'm not the type of guy that should be giving people advice on their eyebrows. Anyway, what he's got in these pictures that I have found in terms of beard styles is kind of a variation of the corporate beard. Not necessarily what you immediately think of, though, when you think of the corporate beard. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the corporate beard has so many different variations because at the end of the day, a corporate beard really is just a short, neatly trimmed beard. Anthony Davis puts his own spin on it rather, though, by keeping that mustache really tight. Now, a few episodes ago, I talked about the way that the rapper Drake kept his beard, and it was a corporate beard, but he did keep his mustache relatively small, just like Anthony Davis. So, in this case, I would say the way he could take it to the next level is, man, I understand that the smaller mustache is probably a choice, but I'd like to see it grown out just a little bit more, just so that it's not lost in that thicker beard, because it does look really good, but I think adding that mustache will just take it to the next level. Unless, on the other hand, you want to go completely in the opposite direction and shave off the mustache. Go for more of a LeBron James situation, which we'll get into later. If he does choose to shave that off, I think it's only going to highlight the strongest parts of his beard, which is the cheeks and getting a little bit into that goatee area on the chin. The reason I think this mustacheless style could really work for Anthony Davis is the fact that he's got such a good shape in his beard already. He really keeps that thing under control and really has a good sense of where the lines need to go on his neck and on his cheeks. So by removing that mustache or growing it out a little bit more is only going to emphasize the best parts of it overall. All in all, there really isn't too much I would change about Anthony Davis's beard other than either emphasizing that mustache or removing it entirely. I don't really have anything in terms of recommendations for what he would put in his beard. He might be a utility balm kind of guy, not put any sort of shine into his beard, but really I'm just going to stick to changing up the style a little bit, all right? Next up, let's talk about Kevin Durant. And again, in these pictures, it's kind of hard to see what beard style he really has, but if we look close, I mean like really close, we can see that it's a circle beard. This again is probably what people think is the goatee, but in reality, it's the circle beard, because what Kevin Durant does is he mixes a goatee, just like Steph Curry, but puts it in there with the mustache connecting all the way around in a circle. Hey, all right? So for what we can do for Kevin Durant is I can offer this advice. Trim up the goatee a little bit, because what's happening right now is the mustache is so small that it's barely even evident. We had to really get in there to see that it was even there. Otherwise, everyone's just going to think that he has a goatee, the real version of the goatee, that is. So my advice again, trim up that goatee, bring it in, or grow the mustache out to the current length of the goatee. That way everything is all a little bit more together. I like when beard styles are a little bit more purposeful, if that's what you want to take away from it. Because what it seems like right now is that he sort of grew out the goatee, then he's like, okay, I'm going to start growing out the mustache. Maybe we'll introduce a little bit of growth on the sides. And overall, it just looks like it's a bunch of different styles that aren't quite one. So by then introducing those scissors to the chin and maybe growing out the mustache just a little bit more, we're going to see something that's more together. Okay, so I do know a thing or two about LeBron James, but mostly what I do know is I know what type of beard style he has. And that, my friend, is a whaler. This is one we really don't see that often, and I actually applaud LeBron James for wearing something that's so bold, because what this is, man, is a almost chin strap mixed with some growth underneath. And while this can get way out of hand and look pretty gnarly on some people, LeBron wears this thing with pride, and I dig it. And all right, I will recognize that he does not have the full-on true whaler style, because he does have a very, very small mustache that he wears. So if you really want to split hairs with me, he doesn't have a true whaler. But what we can do by offering a little advice is embrace that full-on whaler. Shave the mustache, shave the soul patch. Let's go full-on, not Amish beard, but full-on whaler. Just the chin strap and growth underneath, but keep it trimmed up. We don't want to let this thing get massive. It's not going to get any farther than 3 months at the maximum, because past that point, it's really coming off the face, and then he's full on LeBron James / Abraham Lincoln. Well, that is a cool style. I don't think it would suit his face very well. But at the same time, I don't want him to keep it too short, because if he does that, what's going to happen is it's going to look like, oh no, LeBron James lost his razor for a week. And I don't want that. I want there to be some intentionality to the style. I want people to know that he's wearing this thing because he wants to, okay? So there's like a sweet spot between like 1.5 months to maybe 2.5 months. And that's really where his beard's gonna look its absolute best. But hang on, we got a little bit more, because we're gonna take it to the absolute next level by introducing a little bit of utility balm in there. That's gonna be a no shine kind of look to his beard. That's gonna add the much needed moisture that he probably needs after a long game of basketball, man. All right, so just a little bit. I'm probably pegging him for old money kind of guy. He seems like he's got a little bit of a classier side that he might want to introduce into the beard. Maybe he's going to get a little waft of that after the game. But overall, remember, we want to really emphasize this whaler. Embrace the style that he has and make sure that it's at the optimal length. All right, so moving on to our final one, number 5. Finally, we get to the end with James Harden, who probably could have had his own entire video, because this, when I think of basketball and I think of beards, is what my mind immediately goes to. Man, I love this beard. James Harden takes great care of this thing. There's no patches. It's nice and full, and it looks healthy, okay? So realistically, James Harden's probably the type of dude that should be coming into this chair and giving me style advice on my beard, but for the sake of the video, what I can offer for him is, one, the style of beard that he has, which is absolutely a natural. If you want to go a little bit farther into what he's got when he's got the longer beard, maybe we get into your territory, but mostly in the pictures that we see today, this is a natural beard, okay? Now, how do we take it to the next level? We don't trim it. Not at all. I want it to be so that when you look at James Harden, you don't just see a great basketball player. You see a guy who takes care of his beard. And I want this beard to go down in history as one of the best, all right? And the way we do that is we take care of it. That means the whole 9 yards. I'm not just talking beard oil. I'm not just talking a comb in there every few days. I'm talking everything from the moment he wakes up in the shower. We're gonna throw some beard wash in there. We're gonna throw some beard softener in there. When he gets out, let's put some utility balm in there. I definitely think James Harden's an old money kind of guy. Just call it a hunch, but I see him as an old money type of guy. Then once we're done, maybe we'll get that boar's hair brush really so that we get that great shape in there. I love the fullness on that beard. If we want to go a little bit further, we can go into the territory of maybe introducing the blow dryer to get a little bit of a shape down there, maybe a point, maybe a little bit of a square shape, who knows. Either way, we're going to do something with it. And then finally, to end it all, maybe, if he's feeling a little fancy, maybe when he's going out, we'll introduce a little bit of mustache wax just to get the mustache off the lip just right, all right? Not gonna introduce any sort of crazy shapes in the mustache. I'm not looking for some curls or any sort of handlebars, anything like that. Now, I like the natural look that James Harden goes for, but I wanna make sure that from the surface level all the way down to the root, this thing is as healthy and good looking as it can be, all right? Now that we've got our advice out of the way, let's take a look at the rankings, at least according to me. Again, like I say every single week, do not do this in real life. I don't want you to compare your beards to anyone else, and I don't want you to compare other people's beards to each other, because man, that's my job. And if you start doing that, I won't have anything to talk about. But seriously, beards don't need to be compared to each other in real life, because your beard is your own, and I want you to make sure that you grow the best one that you can have and take care of it, okay? So with all that being said, let me just break this down. Again, 5 is my least favorite, and number 1 is my favorite, based on these pictures that I found, okay? So, kicking things off with number 5, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant. This is one of the situations where I do think this beard could be great, but at the current state that I see it at least these pictures, it's not my favorite. It seems like a whole bunch of different styles that have been just sort of mishmashed together and not on purpose, because one of my favorite things is intentionality. With Kevin Durant's beard, it just isn't there yet, okay? If he does introduce that stronger circle beard, I'd probably bump him up, but for right now, Kevin Durant, you are number 5. Moving right along to number 4, kind of in a similar boat, is Steph Curry. It's on the verge of being something great with that goatee, but I want to see this thing growing out just a little bit more and taken care of just a little bit more at the same time, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good goatee now and then, but for the purpose of this ranking, I would keep Steph Curry at number 4. All right, moving right along to number 3, let's talk about Anthony Davis. Again, a beard that's not bad at all. I really do like the style he's wearing, but because he doesn't fully commit to either the no mustache or the fuller mustache, it just isn't my favorite. It's in that middle ground, so we'll keep him at number 3. Number 2, we'll say LeBron James. Really do like the style, but he still has that tiny little mustache, just like Anthony Davis, where it doesn't seem like he's fully committing to a style yet. Of course, he is kind of rocking his own thing, but to take it to the next level, I'd love to see that mustache taken off and that Wagler beard grown out just a little bit more. And then finally, number 1, you probably already know because I gushed about him, James Harden. That's a given. I love this beard. This thing's amazing, and I only want to see it get bigger and healthier, okay? So there we go, guys. That is 5 different NBA players and how they can improve their beards and what styles they already have. Who did I miss? What did I get wrong? You guys let me know. And what do you want to see next? Leave a comment letting me know. And until I see you guys next week, hey, keep on growing.
All right, stop. Before you head over to the next video, let me tell you about the Alliance. It's for men who are passionate about self-improvement, about becoming a better version of themselves, and about that mission of ours to keep on growing. Come join us over there and find like-minded individuals who will push you to the next level and hold you accountable to what you say you're going to do.